Hello friends, this is a Global Citizen once again. Welcome to my presentation. Today I'm going to talk about some of the information, reports, articles on different news websites that will vindicate my stance and validate my analysis about the current Nepal's current political leaders, as well as many top personalities, influential personalities in Nepal. My presentation will be focusing on the Nepal Communist Party, and especially those people who consider themselves as Maoist or Maoist followers, or those people who have been involved in the Maoist insurgency, bloody insurgency all across Nepal, all the way from mid-90s, 1990s to all the way up to 2004. And I consider those people to be in a complete Chinese trap. It is very, very dangerous sign for the Nepalese societies, for the Nepal sovereignty, for the Nepal to be as a nation, Nepal to have its own heritage and civilization. That is what is bothering me very much. So in my previous presentations, I have clearly mentioned how Chinese government has been using three tools to make deep inroads into Nepal. And in fact, it has succeeded to a big extent. It has exceeded in its objective. Okay, and those three tools are wealth, wine, and woman. And these three tools are being extensively and widely used by the Chinese espionage agencies all across the world, but in Nepal they have a big time leverage, and that's why Nepalese people, most of these Nepalese politicians as well as top influential personalities have fallen prey to. And I would not say who is more prone or who is not less prone to these kind of charms or these kind of enticing by the Chinese government. Many people, and I would say that I would not rule out anyone's possibility or anyone's participation in these three tools, that is wealth, wine, and woman. So they are the most effective tool Chinese government has been using, is in addition to wealth, is the honey trap woman. And I'm just going to show you this lady is basically it's just kind of categorization for the sake of symbol. Okay, I'm just showing this picture, but here is the gentleman who used to be deputy mayor of London, who was at the time when Boris Johnson, the current prime minister of UK, used to be the mayor of London. Okay, his deputy was lured, and basically he was spied on by a honey trap, by a lady honey trap. Okay, I'm just gonna play a small part of my previous presentation about how Nepal is going to be Chinese new colony.
The strong conviction that Nepal is heading to be a Chinese colony very soon. And I mean it. I'm just saying, mark my words, my friends. I'm saying it with a lot of convictions. You might realize it if Nepal is heading on the same path and Nepal's politics doesn't really change. It is going to. So friends, I want to talk about the forces.
In this,
who could be the forces behind the royal family massacre?
And
who were the people who benefited the most out of this massacre? If you analyze the sequence of the events, you will definitely point towards China, mainland Chinese, the Chinese Communist Party, and they were the ones who are the biggest beneficiary of that. I know it's not direct, it's going to be indirect, to have influence on another neighbor of the mainland China.
and those are the Chinese or Nepalese Communist Party leaders. They have hashed this entire.
I can say with
and then basically that's how
strong conviction here that these are the people who have scripted who has written the script of massacre and everything, and how they would come to power. Because the Chinese Communist Party have a strategy. They do not play strategy which is only a short-term strategy. They always play a script which is a long-term strategy, and they are very patient to come to achieve their own.
And as you all know, the Chinese Communist Party is going to celebrate its centenary in 2021, 1 year from now, and they want to have a control all across the world, but especially in Asia. And Nepal is one of the important neighbor. They want to dominate so that they can control at least Southeast Asian part too. Go. You must be knowing this lady, as its charm is known to each and everyone all across Nepal. She is ruling all across Nepal, all the way from the army headquarters to the Prime Minister office. Look at this lady. Do you think this is the way a common ambassador would be behaving in any given country or any host country? I definitely doubt that. But because she is the one who is casting charm on each and everyone, and everyone basically is deeply entrenched into improper behavior. Okay, take it morally, ethically, economically, they are totally entrenched into improper behavior, and that is why this lady has the tool to control each and everyone as a puppet. So friend, I'm going to talk about the current Prime Minister of Nepal, Mr. KP Sharma. He is totally in the Chinese trap. I can guarantee he is completely in Chinese trap. And I would say honey trapped, money trapped, both. As many of you must have also read a recent report by the Global Watch Analysis, which talks about how China preys on the economically or institutionally weak nations all around the world. And Nepal is no exception. In addition to that, Nepal bears some additional geopolitical importance and significance to China. Being in immediate neighborhood, although it's not actually in the immediate neighborhood, I would consider Tibet is the real country which is in the immediate neighborhood of the countries like India, Nepal and Bhutan. But since China has been the occupier of Tibet, forcefully occupier since 1950, so China is the one who is taking advantage of all these things. And as many of you already know, that the current NCP government led by Mr. KP Oli, is basically acting at the behest of the Chinese Communist Party, the Chinese government. And for that, I would say the people in Nepal who consider themselves as a Maoist or Maoist follower, they are in the trap, Chinese trap. Ever since they were running bloody insurgency all across Nepal. And they have been benefited. They have received monetary benefits as well as other kinds of benefits. Many of you must have already known that all these Maoist leaders who come from extremely humble background, who could not even go to college, who did not have college education, including Mr. KP Oli, who is the current prime minister of Nepal. Okay, and their lifestyle had changed altogether 60-degree, upside down. Nowadays, they are really leading a very lavish lifestyle. Where did they get this money from? How did they earn this money? You must have also read in that Global Watch analysis report that Mr. Oli has accumulated a wealth of around 41 crore rupees. I would say more than $5.5 million, and that has been stashed in Swiss bank, and they are receiving interest or dividend of at least 1 to 2 crore rupees every year. Where did Mr. Oli earn this much money? So you have to understand, it's time to introspect. I want to talk to each and every Nepalese people. Please look forward for the future of Nepal. Don't let it be a colony, Chinese colony. You see these Maoist communist leaders who were just leading a common man's life before their government came into power, and now they're leading such a big time, expensive, lavish lifestyle, wining and dining with imported Scotch whiskey, smoking imported cigarettes, wearing imported branded clothes. So this you have to understand. And you must have seen how Mr. Oli is talking to Chinese counterpart whenever he is meeting Chinese ambassador or anyone from Chinese government. He's so trenched, he looks so trenched, because he's bowing to their favor. In fact, he is totally trapped by the Chinese government, and he cannot utter even a single word against any kind of aggression Chinese side would show. Look at this. This lady being an ambassador, but she is really exceeding her jurisdiction or protocol as an ambassador. Casting a spell on each and every politicians in Nepal, including Army Chief of Nepal, many other bureaucrats, film industry or news media houses. It is very shocking and disappointing that people who have no moral or ethical characters, but they are at the helm of the governance. They are running the government. Mr. KP Oli doesn't seem to be working for Nepal. No, he is taking advantage of nationalism to keep his position intact. But in fact, he is working for the Chinese interest. He is advancing their interest at the cost of Nepalese interest. This is shocking and disappointing, and not a good sign for a country, as this report clearly indicates how Mr. KP Oli has invested in Cambodia in a telecommunication company. With the help of Chinese ambassador to Nepal, Mr. Hu Chunchai, and one of the Nepalese businessmen, who is also a Chinese paid stooge. And he has been blatantly awarding all the projects, developmental infrastructure projects, to Chinese firms. This is really very shocking, very disappointing, and not a good sign. Friends, I'm going to show you a small part from my previous video, and that is Nepal soon to be Chinese colony part 2, where I have clearly labeled accusations against many of these communist party leaders as well as film, media personalities, including academia, professors from colleges, universities, including student leaders, how they trap, they use. I'm telling you, there is a tilt in the Nepalese politics, and this tilt is because of many reasons, and most of these reasons are very evil reasons. The Chinese Communist Party uses all the tactics, all the by hook or by crook to influence or to trap the important influential personalities of any country they want to colonize or they want to trap in their death trap. Okay, as per the death trap politics or diplomacy, they are also using wine, wealth, and women. What have you been noticing in Nepal? So, the Chinese Communist Party is a very vicious and very deceitful party. It uses all the dirty tactics to trap anybody, any politician or any influential person from other nations so that it can take advantage through these stooges. Current Chinese ambassador to Nepal, who is a young woman, and she is basically casting a spell on each and everyone. She is using everyone. She is trying to influence everyone, and it looks like many of these politicians, including the senior bureaucrats as well as the chief of the army staff, Nepali army staff, they seem to be like working in tandem with the Chinese ambassador. And why? Because I'm sure many of these politicians, many of these bureaucrats, film, media personalities, academia, they have been trapped using wine, wealth, and human, and now they are acting exactly as per the script written by the Chinese Communist Party. They masquerade a face of friend, but they are not really friends. They tell the common Nepalese citizen that they are Nepalese political leaders and other personalities. I'm telling you, they Friends, I'm very much doubtful of the future of Nepal. I'm feeling very disappointed, very sad, and I mean sad about the upcoming future of Nepalese society, Nepalese culture and heritage and civilization. I feel sorry for my Nepalese brothers and sisters. I'm sure most of my Nepalese brothers and sisters would agree with me. I'm not talking about those people who are under the influence of Maoist ideology or who are under the influence of the Chinese Communist Party. Why Maoist ideology? Why would you look for Maoist ideology? Why would you not care for your own heritage, your own civilization? That is how it takes advantage of other nations. And as I had mentioned earlier too, even they are preying on university student leaders. They will invite them to China and give them some little bit favors, and that way they will make them grateful and thankful forever, and they will pursue Chinese interest in Nepal rather than Nepalese interest. And this is done by the Chinese intelligence agencies, espionage agencies. And they use all those three tools: money, honey, and liquor. Friends, it's time to have introspection. I'm going to give you some examples. examples of shady deals and agreements due to such immoral and dishonest behavior of such unethical and immoral political leaders or influential personalities in the country. For example, in Nepal, Nepalese government was forced to buy very low quality, inefficient and unsafe, on top of that, unsafe aircrafts. Everybody knows what is their safety record, but even then Nepalese government had to buy those 8 of these aircrafts. Shady deals in construction of railways in the name of connectivity. Shady deals in the construction of highways, office towers of strategic importance. And when they are building these kind of office towers, for example, Prime Minister's communication office, they will plant bugs so that they can spy on the each and every activity that is happening within that office, through that office. And believe me or not, only those aircrafts, Xi'an MA60, they were basically forced upon those countries which I consider China's client states, and nobody else has bought those aircraft. They don't even have approval to fly in over other nations, And these countries who operate these aircrafts are only those countries such as Tajikistan, Tonga, Nepal, Laos, Sri Lanka, Cambodia, Congo, Zimbabwe, Cameroon, because these are all totally under Chinese debt trap. Unfortunately, the Nepalese government was also forced or succumbed to Chinese pressure and bought these Chinese aircrafts. And in 2008, there were representatives from Bangladesh as well as from Nepal who traveled to China, and Bangladesh representative did not agree to buy these planes, but Nepalese representative were forced to buy these planes by the Nepal's Royal Airlines, whose safety record is not good at all. Very, very dangerous aircrafts. Very dangerous. I would never fly in these aircrafts at all. Even if I'm traveling to any such countries, maybe Zimbabwe, if I see these are the aircrafts which are operating on the route, I will change my plan. I will not travel to those cities. I'm just urging my Nepalese brothers and sisters to think about what your future course of action should be, where you want to go next. Do you want to stay with the authoritarian countries such as China? Chinese friends, there is no friend of China at this moment in time except those which are under Chinese debt trap, or the rogue countries such as North Korea, Pakistan. Or you want to be in a society where you can have a very liberal society, liberty, freedom of expression, everything. Wherever you want to go, you can travel, whatever you want to do, of course legitimately, right things. I'm not talking illegal or illicit acts. Friends, that's all I want to talk about at this moment in time. I'm sure you would definitely agree with me, with my analysis about the current Nepalese political leaders, as well as many of the other influential personalities in Nepal. Okay, please wake up and save Nepal from becoming an authoritarian nation, from becoming a client state to China, or from becoming a kind of Chinese colony. If you have liked any part of this video, please press like button and also subscribe to my video channel. and share it. I really appreciate. I would also appreciate your feedback and your thoughts on it. Thank you very much.